The year's 30 BC, and the air in Alexandria crackles with impending doom. Queen Cleopatra VII, the last pharaoh of Egypt, faces the inevitable advance of Octavian's Roman legions. Her reign, a dazzling spectacle of power and intellect, is drawing to a close. The wealth of the Ptolemaic dynasty, accumulated over 3 centuries, is concentrated within the city's walls. Gold from Nubia, pearls from the Red Sea, and spices from the East fill the royal coffers. This isn't just currency, it's the embodiment of a civilization's spirit and history. As Roman forces breach the outer defenses, a desperate plan is set in motion. Loyal servants, bound by oaths of secrecy, begin the monumental task of hiding the queen's treasure. They work not in the open, but in the labyrinthine tunnels and secret chambers beneath the royal quarter. Crates filled with bullion, priceless scrolls from the great library, and Cleopatra's personal jewels are moved under the cover of night. The goal is not just to keep it from Roman hands, but to preserve it for a future Egypt, a day when her legacy might be restored. With the fate of her kingdom sealed, Cleopatra takes her own life, a final act of defiance. Octavian, victorious, enters the city, expecting to parade Cleopatra's fabulous wealth through the streets of Rome. He finds the royal treasury surprisingly depleted, the grand prize he coveted gone. The secret of the treasure's location dies with the queen and her most trusted confidants. The lost treasure immediately becomes a legend, a whisper among the ruins of a conquered kingdom. In the year 29 BC, Roman engineers begin reshaping Alexandria, building over the old city. Rumors circulate that the treasure is buried with Cleopatra in her hidden mausoleum. Soldiers and fortune hunters conduct discreet, often fruitless, searches in the city's necropolis. The story of the hidden fortune becomes a popular tale told in Roman taverns and Egyptian markets. By 10 AD, the generation that knew Cleopatra is gone, and the story solidifies into myth. The physical landscape of Alexandria continues to change, obscuring the past even further. A massive earthquake and tsunami strike the city in 365 AD, altering the coastline forever. The royal quarter, including Cleopatra's palace and the island of Antarhodos, slips beneath the waves. Any tomb or treasure chamber near the palace is now lost to the Mediterranean Sea. For centuries, the treasure is forgotten by all but a few scholars and dreamers. The story survives in fragmented texts and local folklore, a ghost of a memory. The location of the sunken city itself becomes a matter of speculation. Napoleon's expedition to Egypt in 1798 sparks a renewed European interest in ancient history. They search for Alexandria's wonders, but the sunken parts remain inaccessible. The 20th century brings new technologies and new possibilities for underwater exploration. In the 1990s, French underwater archaeologist Frank Gaudiot begins a systematic survey of the bay. His team uses advanced sonar and magnetic resonance imaging to peer beneath the seabed. They are not just looking for treasure, but for the lost history of a city. In 1996, Gaudiot and his team make a breathtaking discovery: the sunken island of Antarhodos. They find the remains of Cleopatra's royal palace, just as the ancient geographer Strabo described. Pavements, columns, and massive statues are found, perfectly preserved in the low-oxygen environment. They find artifacts from Cleopatra's reign, including small statues of her son, Caesarion Topiakos. Each discovery fuels speculation. If the palace is here, could the tomb and its treasure be nearby? The search is painstaking, with each artifact needing to be carefully documented, conserved, and studied. Meanwhile, another theory gains traction, focusing on a location miles outside of Alexandria. Archaeologist Kathleen Martinez becomes convinced the tomb lies at the Temple of Taposiris Magna Da. She argues that Cleopatra, identifying with the goddess Isis, would have wanted to be buried in a sacred temple. Her team begins excavating the site, a place overlooked by previous generations of archaeologists. They uncover a vast cemetery of Greco-Roman mummies outside the temple. These mummies were buried facing the temple, suggesting a royal presence within. In 2010, they find a headless statue of a Ptolemaic king and coins bearing Cleopatra's face. The evidence is circumstantial, but tantalizingly suggestive. Martinez's search focuses on finding the foundation deposits, ritual objects that would confirm a royal burial. In 2022, ground-penetrating radar reveals a massive tunnel, 13 meters beneath the temple. The tunnel is an engineering marvel, stretching for over 1,500 meters. Part of this tunnel is submerged, adding to the difficulty of exploration. Could this be the ceremonial path to the final resting place of the last queen of Egypt? The world holds its breath, as two compelling theories vie for the ultimate discovery. Is the treasure a glittering hoard of gold, or is the true treasure the historical knowledge that awaits? Perhaps the treasure was never a single hoard, but was distributed, used to pay off Roman debts, or smuggled out of the country in pieces. Maybe the bulk of it lies in a location no one has yet considered, far from Alexandria. The Mediterranean's depths and the desert sands are patient keepers of secrets. The search for Cleopatra's lost treasure is more than a hunt for gold. It is a quest to touch the past. It is a story of ambition, loss, and the enduring power of a legacy that has captivated the world for over 2 millennia. The final days in Alexandria were a whirlwind of fear and defiance. Cleopatra consulted with her astrologers, seeking a sliver of hope in the celestial charts. The great lighthouse of Alexandria, one of the wonders of the world, cast its beam over a city holding its breath. Inside the palace, scribes worked feverishly, attempting to copy scrolls from the library before the Romans arrived. Mark Antony, defeated and despondent, prepared for his final battle. The treasure moved was not just gold, but also sacred artifacts from the temples of Isis. Each item was logged on a secret manifest, a papyrus that has never been found. The servants involved in the operation were sworn to silence, their loyalty absolute. They created false trails and decoy chambers to mislead any potential searchers. Octavian's frustration grew with each passing day as his soldiers found nothing of value. He offered enormous rewards for any information, but the secret held fast. The legend of the treasure became a tool of quiet resistance for the Egyptian people. As the years turned into decades, the story became embellished with magical curses and divine guardians. The great library, once the intellectual heart of the world, fell into ruin, its knowledge scattered. The rising waters of the Mediterranean were a slow, relentless conqueror, claiming the city's history. By the medieval period, Alexandria was a shadow of its former self, its glorious past submerged. Crusader knights heard tales of the treasure, mistaking it for the wealth of the Saracens. The Ottoman rulers of Egypt conducted their own sporadic searches, but found nothing. The modern search began not with archaeologists, but with local sponge divers who reported seeing columns on the seabed. Frank Gaudio's initial surveys were met with skepticism from the academic community. The discovery of the royal quarters vindicated his meticulous, technology-driven approach. Divers found not just stone, but also everyday objects, pottery, lamps, and fishing weights. These humble items provided a tangible connection to the people who lived in Cleopatra's city. The conservation of waterlogged artifacts is a delicate and lengthy process. At Taposiris Magna, the discovery of the cemetery was a major breakthrough for Martinez's team. Some of the mummies found had golden tongues, a ritual meant to allow them to speak to the gods in the afterlife. This discovery hinted at the high status of those buried near the temple. The tunnel found beneath the temple is similar in design to other sacred tunnels, like the Serapeum of Saqqara. Exploration of the tunnel is dangerous, requiring expertise in both archaeology and cave diving. Some experts remain unconvinced, arguing Cleopatra's tomb would have been in the royal necropolis, now underwater. They believe the Taposiris Magna temple is significant, but not as Cleopatra's final resting place. The treasure itself might be a red herring, a story exaggerated over time. The true value lies in the potential to uncover a lost chapter of human history. Whether underwater or underground, the final secret of Cleopatra remains just out of reach. The quest continues, driven by the same human curiosity that has fueled explorers for ages. The sun sets over the Mediterranean, casting golden light on the water, hiding its secrets below. In the year 30 BC, the city's mood was one of quiet panic. Cleopatra's personal chambers were a place of intense, whispered conversations. She reviewed inventories of grain, not just gold, planning for a long siege. The plan to hide the treasure was known only to 3 people: the queen, her most loyal general, and her high priestess. They used a network of forgotten cisterns and old Ptolemaic passages. The heaviest items were moved on barges through subterranean canals. Priceless scientific instruments from the library's observatory were also hidden. The final act of hiding the treasure took place during a fierce sandstorm that engulfed the city. When Octavian's forces finally secured the treasury, they found only tally sheets and receipts. The story told to the Romans was that the treasure had been shipped to India, a deliberate piece of misinformation. In the year 5 AD, an old man on his deathbed confessed to his son that he had helped move the queen's sorrow. This story became a local legend in one specific neighborhood of Alexandria for generations. The earthquake of 365 AD caused widespread liquefaction, swallowing entire sections of the city's foundation. The submerged royal quarter became a treacherous reef, avoided by sailors for centuries. In the 19th century, British engineers dredging the harbor found a large, intact granite pylon, but dismissed it as a random ruin. Frank Gaudio's work was revolutionary because he surveyed the entire bay, not just known archaeological sites. The moment of discovery for the palace was not a single eureka, but a slow realization as sonar data was pieced together. Devers reported the surreal experience of swimming through the rooms of a 2,000-year-old palace. At Taposiris Magna, Martinez's team found shafts leading deep into the bedrock. These shafts were tombs for high-ranking officials who wanted to be near the temple. The discovery of the tunnel was a complete surprise, not predicted by any historical text. The tunnel's perfect. Sloping construction suggests it was designed for ceremonial processions. The debate between the underwater and the desert theories has energized the field of Egyptology. Ultimately, the treasure may not be gold, but the tomb of Cleopatra and Antony itself. Finding it would be the archaeological discovery of the century, solving a 2,000-year-old mystery. The legacy of Cleopatra is not just in what she lost, but in the enduring quest she inspires. The final inventory of the treasure was written in a cipher known only to Cleopatra. Small portions of the treasure were used as bribes to sow discord among Octavian's officers. The high priestess of Isis performed a ritual to place a protective curse on the main hoard. After the queen's death, the loyal servants who hid the treasure vanished, likely taking new identities in foreign lands. For 100 years, a secret society of Isis worshippers watched over the potential location of the tomb. The story of the treasure was passed down orally through this society, becoming more allegorical with each generation. The final resting place was chosen for its alignment with specific constellations, the celestial lock. The water that flooded the Taposiris Magna tunnel is fresh water, seeping in from a nearby lake, not the sea. This suggests the flooding was a gradual process, not a catastrophic event. The search continues, a testament to one queen's power to shape history long after her death.